I'm a doctor.
I'm a lawyer.
I'm a journalist.
I'm a student.
I'm a teacher.
I'm a representative.
I have cancer.
The outdated laws of prohibition are more dangerous than the plant itself.
I lost my scholarship.
I was fired.
20 million arrests since 1965. This is getting ridiculous.
Our prisons are overcrowded with non-violent offenders.
We have the opportunity to change.
This is costing our country billions of dollars.
Making my family and I fight in a courtroom is difficult enough when I'm already fighting through chemotherapy.
There's no reason to be scared by tradition anymore.
We can stop this.
We can stop this.
We are the American people,
We can stop this.
and you have our support.
We're old.
Young.
Straight.
Gay.
We're every race and nationality.
And we're not going to give up.
You can tax it.
You can regulate it.
Apply age restrictions.
You can create millions of new jobs.
We can save our economy.
President Obama?
It's time for legalization.
Legalization.
Yes.
We.
Can.
This has been a public service announcement.
You know, the fact that 30% of the drugs that come in from Mexico is marijuana. We can solve that problem tomorrow. America right now, flip the switch today, we become the biggest producers of marijuana in the world. More marijuana is grown in this country than anywhere else on the planet. And that is a fact. People can sit back right now and try to argue with me. Go up to Humboldt County. Go look between Humboldt County and Sacramento. Let's look in the down along in Virginia, along the Appalachian Trail. Let's go up to Maine and go up to Vermont. Marijuana is being grown all over this country. Does that mean automatically that America becomes the biggest distributor of marijuana? No. But what I'm trying to say is that we can stop 30% of the illegal traffic coming across the border just by flipping a switch and selling.
I have an understanding that today, as we speak here in Sacramento, that there are thousands of people in prisons in the state of California today for doing nothing but smoking marijuana. Thousands in prison for doing nothing but smoking marijuana. Why? Because they're on parole for one reason or another. And once they get off parole for whatever that offense was, if they smoke marijuana, it's a violation of parole, and they're immediately put back into state prison with all of the benefits that they had accrued, getting jobs, etc., supporting their families, being lost. Another one is that the tougher we get with regard to marijuana prosecution, literally, from my experience as a judge, and I have seen this in Orange County forever, the softer we get with the prosecution of everything else. And that is something that we simply have so many resources, and if we're spending them in prosecutions of marijuana, we are not spending them for prosecutions of rape, homicide, etc. Then, marijuana will never put this violence that we heard earlier out of business. All of these statistics that you heard earlier about the violence and the killings of both the police officers and everyone else is occurring under today's system of marijuana prohibition, etc. The only way you put these Mexican cartels out of business and these other violent creatures out of business is to undercut the price, to make it no longer illegal so that you don't have that enormous profit motive to get these people involved with that violence, etc. The only way you do it is to undercut the price, and Assembly Bill 390 is a really good place.
Do you feel we're any closer to winning the war on drugs based on all of the problems with Mexico and the cartels and the fights over our border and the drugs being imported from Mexico than we were last year?
Well, whether you call it a war on drugs or some other term, I mean, I firmly believe that we need to do what we should to stem both drug trafficking into the United States and drug usage in the United States. And I do believe there have been some successes, particularly when it comes to the use of drugs by children in high school or college and the like. There are others in the at ONDCP and others who are much more familiar with that than I am. But
you say some successes. Do
Yes.
you have any statistics to show? Statistics I see say that more people are using, say, marijuana than have, because the public doesn't has a feeling about use of certain drugs that maybe the FBI doesn't. Is there a better way, and some people have suggested looking into a system of legalization that might be effective in stemming the tide of drugs from Mexico and then the border wars and the immigration problems from Mexico? Have you considered this as a possibility?
I think anybody who looks at this problem considers it, and ultimately when you look at it, rejects it. I tend to think that the use of particular drugs goes in waves. You'll have marijuana for a period of time, then you'll have heroin, then you'll have cocaine, then you'll have crack cocaine, then you'll have methamphetamine, and then you'll have OxyContin. And it goes in waves. And
let me ask you about
the way people. I'm sorry, but there are too many individuals, both parents and others, who have lost their lives to drugs to give a ready answer that it should be legalized.
I agree with you, sir, and there are lots of parents who've lost their lives to crack, cocaine, methamphetamines, and heroin, and they've somewhat gone in waves. Name me a couple of parents who've lost their lives to marijuana.
Can't.
Exactly, you can't, because that hadn't happened, and there hadn't been a wave, because that's been a constant thing in America since Harry Anslinger, because African Americans used it and saw it as something that was crippling, and gave it to the Latin Americans and put an ethnic tone to it. When have we? Is there some time we're going to see that we ought to prioritize meth, crack, cocaine, and heroin, and deal with the drugs that the American culture is really being affected by and lives are being lost?
The only thing I would say is that you talk to parents who have lost their children to drugs.
Right.
They will inevitably say that they started off with marijuana.
They probably started off with milk and then went to beer. And then they went to bourbon, and then they might have gone to marijuana. The gateway theory doesn't work.
Maybe.
It's a reality. Obviously, we're going to not going to agree there.
In terms of legalization of drugs, I think that the battle, the war on drugs has been an utter failure, and I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
Hey Arnold, I had to ask you, Chong said that you and him used to smoke weed together.
It's a fallacy.
He was right. He was right? Yeah, I mean, you're smoking on a movie. I mean,
exactly.
When you're done with the government, are you kind of looking back to those days? Looking forward to that?
We always had a good time. We know how to enjoy ourselves.
All right.
I smoke 2 joints in the morning. I smoke 2 joints at night. I smoke 2 joints in the afternoon, and it makes me feel alright. Smoke 2 joints in time of peace, and 2 in time of war. Smoke 2 joints before I smoke 2 joints, and then I smoke 2 more. That's what I do.
Look, when I was a kid, I inhaled frequently. That was the point.
In the morning, I smoke 2 joints at night. Smoke 2 joints in the video game. Smoke 2 joints in time of peace and 2 in time of war. Smoke 2 joints before I smoke 2 joints, and then I smoke